Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us on the Think Realty podcast today. I'm Eddie Wilson, the host of the podcast, as well as the founder of Think Realty. Started Think Realty in 2013 to try to help real estate investors find success in the real estate investing journey. I want to say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor, which is Real Property Management. You know I'm a huge advocate for property managers. If you are buying properties and you do not have a solid property manager, this is one that you should consider. This episode is brought to you by Real Property Management. Working with the right property management company can put more in your pocket, not less. Real Property Management provides a higher standard of property management to make sure you're maximizing the return on your investments. Experience the real difference with Real Property Management. Visit realpropertymgt.com. That's realpropertymgt.com. We've got an amazing guest today. You've seen him in the magazine and various other places, and it's one of the great joys of my life to get to support others that are doing great work around this country and around the world to help others. And so today our guest is Kirk Taylor. Kirk, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us and appreciate the support in the magazine in prior episodes.
Yep, absolutely. So Land Betterment Corporation. If you don't mind, for those guests that are listening or watching for the first time, explain to them what it is that you do and what the program is all about.
Yeah, so Land Betterment itself is a benefit corporation, a certified B corporation. And that was important for us as we set out to impact social change as well as environmental change in the communities that we serve. So Land Betterment itself sits at the intersection of social outcomes and environmental outcomes. In many transitioning communities, we feel that you can't have one without the other. If you're trying to empower social change, folks bringing new jobs and new economic opportunity, you can't do so in spite of the environment. On the flip side, you can't solely focus on environmental outcomes without realizing the impact it has on the communities around them. People need jobs. People need outcomes that they can actually believe in. And Land Betterment itself works to deliver those high impact projects on both fronts. So we have several business pillars underneath Land Betterment that support that ethos of a company.
And so, overall, that's the mission. Tell us how tactically that works, because I know you're heavily involved in container homes and providing transitional housing and things like that. So walk us down to kind of the tactical side of how this works.
Yeah, so actually it first started with environmental remediation of former impacted land. And so we were cleaning up former coal mining properties, addressing the environmental issues there, bringing the land back to a usable form. We started to talk to community members and ask them what they wanted with that land. And the predominant solution in the industry was to plant trees, to reforest, which is great. Everyone loves trees. However, the community could see the trees on the mountainside, but that wasn't creating housing. That wasn't creating jobs. We said, okay, so how do we do this in a constructive way? Housing in many areas are dominated by mobile homes, other subpar housing solutions. And we talked to our community members and we said we needed to find a better solution for their housing crisis. We couldn't go with the status quo. And so we looked at container-based housing as a solution. If you look at periods of natural disaster, unfortunately, mobile homes are highly impacted, right? Those people don't have a safe, healthy environment to live in. We wanted to deliver something better for them, lower ongoing operating costs, higher sustainability, higher safety. And the container home really fits that mode. Right now, we can deliver homes that are wind rated north of 120 miles an hour. They have high degree of insulation. All of our homes are insulated to the standards in which a normal custom built home would be, which is much higher than a mobile home standards are. So we're delivering them both safe and sustainable housing on former impacted land. And so that's really where the idea of bringing real solutions to these communities started to take that tactical form. And we've been really excited about the impact we've made both in permanent housing, but also in transitional housing, which we can get into.
Sure. Yeah. So Talk to us about, first of all, the container homes. So what are these, a very specific size of container home? Are you guys bringing them in overseas? How are you actually doing the construction side of the container homes?
Yeah, so Land Betterment itself looked at many different container-based solutions, and we found that while some were being done on a mass-produced basis,
Hmm.
most of those were subpar, not something that we would want our
Hmm.
family to live in. But then there's also really high-end custom container-based hotels and Instagram homes, and that's not really what we wanted to get into as
Hmm.
well. And so we formed Eco Solutions, fabrication facility out of Northern Alabama, to make custom feeling assembly line delivered homes. And so we take 20-foot, 40-foot standard, 8-foot high or 9-foot high
Hmm.
containers. Most are single use, meaning they came over from China because of our trade imbalance, and now there's no use for them here. They would normally be scrapped out. We're giving them a second life. In the form of homes. And so uh, our basic model is a 40-foot long, 9-foot high, one bedroom container. Depending upon the site or the community desired, we can go side by side. We also have development in Eastern Kentucky where we have 15 homes on a former mining property where we actually do 40-foot first floor, 20-foot second floor, and a walkout balcony, really giving a custom feel, but staying within the economic constraints of that community by providing them that attainable housing.
Sure, that's awesome. Where are the areas that you're primarily putting these properties in? Is it primarily all former coal mines and things like that, like Kentucky and West Virginia, or is it broader than that?
Yeah, so right now, our concentration is Alabama, former impacted land, Kentucky, both eastern and western former impacted land, and then West Virginia. We have two sites in Indiana that we're working on. Um, right now, our sole focus on permanent housing is that kind of former reclaimed property. We feel
Hmm.
that we need to stay true to that. What we didn't anticipate was the immense need for rapid response housing in times of
Hmm.
crisis.
Sure.
And so that presented itself to us 2 years ago in Western Kentucky, where devastating tornadoes went through Mayfield, Bowling Green area 5 days before Christmas.
Hmm.
And we had 4 homes already going to Eastern Kentucky. We reached out to the mayors in Western Kentucky, and we were able to deliver eventually up to 25 homes
Hmm.
for short-term rental rescue housing, and the impact that we made in those communities had a really lasting effect
Hmm.
because in the days after a disaster, you're in a crisis mode, right? But those first few days after a disaster is when the media is there, is when Red Cross is there, is when super uber focus on that community.
Right.
But 3, 6, 9 months later, everyone leaves.
Hmm.
But there's no housing solution in those situations. So
Sure.
we were able to provide that temporary housing that made you feel comfortable at night going to
Hmm.
bed. You weren't sleeping in a tent. You weren't sleeping in a basement. Families, the first 4 families that we housed, they all had they all had children. We were able to give them a Christmas tree 3 days after
Hmm.
their homes were destroyed by tornadoes.
Wow.
Um, and one of the families, the daughter about the same age as one of my daughters, told her mom that this was actually the nicest home she had ever lived in
Hmm.
her life, and it
Wow.
was a rescue solution for them. So by delivering something that is tangible, gives them meaning, and is able to actually uplift you in a time of trial, I think
Hmm.
is very very powerful. I mean, I think
It's
that
very powerful. Yeah.
you can realize the impact of real estate, right?
Hmm.
A lot of times we think of it as an investment or a
Hmm.
trade, um, but a home is a home, right? And so
Hmm.
that's what we're
Yeah.
trying to create in these communities that we develop.
It's awesome. Talk to me about the transitional housing. I know that you guys provide a massive service where maybe young
Yeah,
people that are aging out of the traditional system. And if you can, just explain how you guys are working there.
Yeah, again, this is such a good outcome of the choice of housing we're using. So these rescue homes that we put out in the field 9, 12, 15 months, eventually they will not be needed. So we need
Mm-hmm.
to have a good partner to take these homes after some, refurbishment, after the initial use. And so we partnered with the group in Western Kentucky called Camp Graves. They have two purposes. Initially was for transitional adults out of foster care. They also have an ongoing tornado housing need as well. So a lot of displaced young teenagers or young adults had no place to live,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're providing that intermediate term housing for them. Again, nobody can go get educated or go keep a job if you don't have a home to come back to every day. So
Right.
finding those long-term solutions and those partners is very helpful. From a business standpoint, we
Mm-hmm.
are a benefit corporation, but we are a for-profit corporation. We need to find viable outcomes for temporary housing that we put in the field. I don't want to pay for 50 homes that come then 9 months later sit in a parking lot. I need to use all of our assets to their full value, and having partners like Camp Graves is really impactful. When we first set out to do the rescue homes, we actually set up a unique sponsorship model where we went out to foundations and they would pay for the first 9, 12, 18
Mm-hmm.
months of rental. So groups, even including the Tepper Foundation out of New York and Charlotte, funded Western Kentucky homes for these tornado victims. So it was really a great moment to bring different community members together, but
Sure.
then also providing this end of life use through Camp Graves for that transitional housing is pretty powerful for us.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. How can people find out more and get involved? And what would your ask be to our audience? I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them listening are thinking, "Wow, this is powerful. This is awesome." Can they participate with you? Can they donate? Can they get involved? Can they invest? How can they participate with you guys?
Yeah, landbetterment.com, ecosolutions.com. I look at impact investing. That's what we're doing. We're
Mm-hmm.
investing dollars in this space. I look at real estate. What does real estate mean? Does it, we're in New York yesterday looking at fabricating outdoor food venues
Mm-hmm.
using containers, things that are safe to be outside, bring community members together, allow gathering of people to enjoy themselves. Those things are unique to the container, um, and unique to us as we look to expand. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say to people in the real estate space, let's expand kind of what we think of as real estate, and the impact that it's making.
Mm-hmm.
Alternative investment isn't just buying into a REIT, right? Let's think
Right.
about alternative investment as outcomes, both financially but also socially, and how do you deliver real solutions to both of those
Mm-hmm.
issues, because we do things in a high level but in a manner that does make economic sense, which is unique sometimes.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I say those both of those things. We're on social media. If people have brownfield sites,
Mm-hmm.
we'll love to partner with them on this solution. We're getting tremendous requests for an Airbnb RV model,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where people love to go camping, but not everybody has a camper, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to pitch a tent every night.
Right.
So higher end RV models in high density kind of Airbnb RV parks is pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting. We have a couple deployed in Alabama. They're rented constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things I think would be very interesting to us. But again, if you think about alternative investment, just expand the horizon, right? And,
Sure.
and I think it could be fun together with some of the people in your viewership.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kirk. Kirk, how do they find you? Is it landbettermentcorporation.com? How's the best way for them to
Yeah,
find you?
yeah, I would say just email me. My
Okay.
initials, KPT at landbetterment.com, is the easiest way. And then we'll go from there. And hopefully we will be in your magazine, and
Yep.
we'll have some social around that as well.
Yeah, coming up in January. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kirk. Appreciate it. I want to say a quick thank you again to one of our sponsors, which is Residential Assisted Living Academy. And we've actually got a video and a message from her as well.
Hey there, I'm Isabel Garino from the Residential Assisted Living Academy. We teach and train real estate investors and entrepreneurs how to own and operate residential assisted living homes to care for seniors. Now, the cash flow is amazing, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment, but the impact is even bigger and better. If you've ever had a loved one who needed home care and assistance and you didn't know what to do or where to turn and a big commercial facility was the only thing you could think of, trust me, there's more. I want to show you and teach you all about it. It's a residential home in a residential setting, housing anywhere from 6 to 16 seniors. And let me tell you, you do not have to work in the home. You do not have to live in the home or care for the seniors yourself. You own the real estate and own the business, and you get to operate it quite hands off. Let me show you the numbers to see if you're even more excited. Come on. The average cost of care in our country today is $4,500 per month per person. Now, it could cost way more or way less depending on where you live and what you need, right? Your level of care, and then also the amenities within the home. But the average number in our country today, $4,500 per month per person. You're allowed to have somewhere between 6 and 16 residents in your home, so we'll use 10 for easy math, times 10. This would be bringing us in $45,000 every single month of gross income. Woo! But we know that there's expenses. Well, you've got to pay for the caregivers, the administrator, the food, the cable, the liability insurance, you name it, all in for 10 residents. It's probably around $30,000 a month. And then, of course, we have our debt service. Now, in most parts of the country, we could still get a pretty nice home for about $5,000 per month. This would be leaving us with $10,000 of monthly net income, or $120,000 a year, on one single family home being used as a residential assisted living home to house and care for seniors. I've never seen returns like this on single family investing until residential assisted living. This is game-changing money. This is life-changing money. Now, I teach and train people how to do this, and I'd love to share with you more. If you want to grab a free webinar, a free book, or chat with me or my team, you can schedule a call at ral101.com. We'd love to see you there and show you how to do good and do well with residential assisted living.
Thanks so much, Isabel. Appreciate it. Love Residential Assisted Living Academy. Appreciate all the support they provide our viewers. As a wrap up to the podcast, I want to say a thank you to all of our viewers and listeners for all that you do and for participating. And as a thank you for what you do, we've got a real estate conference and expo coming up in Phoenix, Arizona on March 28th and 29th. And if you go to thinkrealty.com and you go to the actual event page and use the word or the code podcast, you'll get a buy one, get one deal on the tickets as a thank you for participating and being a part of the podcast. Also, make sure you are following us on all the social channels, picking up the magazine at Barnes & Noble, getting it delivered to your doorstep. We provide a ton of great content, news, and information just for you, the real estate investor that is actively doing this as a part of your life. We want to be a part of your life as well in supporting you on this journey. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening and viewing our podcast.